In this video, I'd like to review a new way to plant bulbs, and that's using one of these augers that fits into your drill. Traditionally, I planted bulbs in one of two ways. If I have small bulbs, they don't have to be planted very deep, like crocus, for instance, or iris. Those I'll plant with a trowel, and I'll just stick it in the ground, lever it over, put the bulb in, put the soil back. Very quick that way. Larger bulbs like tulips and daffodils, they need to go down about 5 or 6 inches. And what I generally do is dig a hole about this big, take all the soil out, put the bulbs in, cover them up. And that's a fairly easy way too, except you do need a shovel and a wheelbarrow to do that. Along comes a new tool. Is this better than my traditional methods? You need this, and ideally a cordless drill to go with it. Now my drill here isn't anything special. It's kind of a low-end drill, and you'll see it works pretty well, so you don't need a fancy drill. I ordered the 1.5 inch drill, figuring that's the size of a tulip bulb, but I think that's a little too small. These are also available as 2-inch drills and 3-inch drills, and if I was getting another one, I definitely would go for at least 2 inches and probably the 3-inch one. For large daffodils that have 2 bulbs joined together, you really need the 3-inch one. The cost is somewhere around $10 US to $15 depending on which one you get. You can also get them in multi-packs, so you can get several of these together. They seem quite well made. I mean, this metal is really strong. The soldering joints along the spiral seem very well made. I think this thing will last you your whole life, so I wouldn't worry about that. It is powder coated, so it looks nice and black. Maybe in a few years it will rust a bit, but that won't affect the drill. Now let's have a look and see how it works in the garden.
The first test I thought I'd try is out in the lawn. This is right next to a fairly large maple, and there's a lot of roots in this part of the garden. The clay's fairly heavy soil. You can see it's having a bit of trouble getting into the ground, and I could feel the roots as I was digging in, particularly in the second hole. I was banging up against the roots. Now let's try a garden bed. This soil has been amended. It's much finer. You can see the drill goes in really nicely. It's also an area that has fewer roots. The auger does a really good job in this area. Now once I had the holes there, I looked at them and I thought, well, now what do you do? There's no real easy way to get that soil back into the holes to cover the bulbs that you've put into the bottom.
Now one of the things I noticed that when I was drilling in the lawn, that soil is a little more compacted, and my lawn here has a lot of tree roots in it. The drill did get hung up on tree roots. If I was using my shovel to dig a hole, I'd have the same kind of problem. And in fact, the problem may actually be worse, because if I have to dig a hole that's a foot or two across, I'd have a real hard time getting through the roots without doing a lot of damage to the tree. So one advantage of the auger is that I can find softer spots between the roots and make the hole there and put the bulb in. Can't do that with a shovel. When I took this down to my garden area, the soil there is much nicer and softer, and it really dug a hole quickly. So I would say for the average garden bed, this tool would work quite nicely. It does have problems with stones and roots in your garden. The rockier your soil is, the more trouble this will have. Once you've made the hole, drop the bulb in, and then push the soil back over top of it. That is one advantage of using a trowel or a shovel. It's very easy to get that soil back in. This auger tends to move the soil away from the hole, and there's no real easy way to put it back into the hole except to go get your trowel and push it back in which case, well, maybe it would have been just as fast to use the trowel. So what is my overall opinion of this tool? Well, the tool actually works a little better than I expected, and it would be pretty handy to plant bulbs, particularly if you're doing a naturalizing type of planting. That's where you're planting a bulb here and there, and you're spacing them quite far apart. If you did that with tulips or daffodils, you'd be doing a lot of digging, and this would be so much faster. If I'm trying to plant some small things, the spring iris, reticulata, or maybe crocus, they don't have to go very deep. I'm not sure I need this. I can use a trowel just as fast. Now, one plus with this tool is I don't have to bend over quite so far to do the digging. For some people, that could be an advantage. Overall, I think it's a well-made tool. I think it works really well, certainly does what's advertised, and I think this would be great for planting. My only caution is make sure you get one that's a little larger, at least 2 inches, and probably get the 3-inch one. If you want to learn more about spring bulbs, I have a couple videos for you. You wonder what Iris reticulata is? Well, that's one of my favorite spring bulbs, and there's a video for that right here. And if you want more general information about planting bulbs, have a look at this one right here. Happy bulbing!